Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Daily Gwei Refuel, where I recap the latest news in the Ethereum ecosystem. I'm your host, Anthony Sassano, and today's the 23rd of February, 2023. Alright everyone, let's get into it. So, kicking off with another round of notes from the EIP 4844 implementers call put out by Terence as usual. They went over a range of topics that you can find in his Twitter thread here, which I'll link in the YouTube description below. I did cover the one major update, I think, a few days ago with that Jacek was talking about when it came to blobs, and Terence covered it here, saying the most significant change, which was decoupling blobs, aka free blobs, has been merged. Once the developers have client implementations, they'll run another round of network simulation to compare results between coupled and decoupled approaches. And then there's more updates here that you can read for yourself. Now, I did mention, I think a few weeks ago, that the 4844 spec is still changing. It's not frozen, and that's totally fine. It still puts us, I guess, with relative certainty of being able to launch this thing later in the year. If not, worst case, probably early next year. But it's coming. It's making a lot of progress, moving along. I think a lot of developers are working on it now, given that withdrawals is pretty much done, I would say, because we're going to be forking Sepolia on the 28th of Feb, and then just run through the motions of doing Goerli, and then we will do mainnet, hopefully late March there for that, but you guys know all about that. Anyway, I'll link this thread in the YouTube description below for you to check out. All right, so Superfizz had a great tweet about Ethereum staking, where he said 226 out of the 523,000 validators on the Beacon chain have been slashed. That is nothing to lose sleep over. Many slashings have occurred during failed system migration, and so here are 4 emerging best practice tips to avoid this. Now, the fact that it's only 226 out of 523,000 is pretty good. I mean, I don't know what that is in percentage terms, but it is like 0.00 something percent, right? It is a very, very small number of validators that have been slashed. Now, you remember that slashing and going offline are two separate things. If you go offline, you suffer what's called the inactivity penalty or inactivity leak, whereas if you get, and that won't kick you out of the active validator set until your balance goes to 16 ETH, whereas if you get slashed, you're automatically kicked out of the validator set, and because withdrawals aren't enabled yet, your validator pretty much becomes useless, and your ETH is stuck there until withdrawals are enabled. So, because of this, obviously, we would like this number to be 0, because a lot of the things that happened here weren't actually validators trying to be malicious. A lot of the time it was them trying to set up, or people trying to set up redundant setups for their validators and accidentally having 2 of the same validator running at the same time, which resulted in a slashing event. Now, as I said, Superfizz has 4 emerging best practice tips that he's put together here about how to handle this. Now, as I just mentioned, the biggest thing is that redundant setup that leads to slashing. What you want to do is, if you're trying to, I guess, migrate to a new setup, is you want to wipe your entire old staking machine. Don't use the chain data, don't reuse the chain data to save time. Reinstall, reformat, and reduce the odds that a lingering service will sting you. You can use doppelganger protection as well, which is actually built into the Rocket Pool smart stack, which is actually, I've got it enabled, and it kicks in even if you go offline, but it kicks in, even if you go offline, so it's pretty good, right? I actually really love it. And then the third one is take your time and act deliberately, write out a checklist for your process and follow it, add in lots of 15-minute just watch buffers to become aware of problems, and if you feel butterflies in your stomach about any action, just step away. Maybe it means unplugging everything before you step away, take a small loss, and come back when you found support and thought it through, then improved your plan when you're confident. And Superfizz does make a point to say that it doesn't matter if you're offline for a few hours. It's better than accidentally getting slashed for, even if it's just 1 ETH, which is $1,700, if you're offline for, I guess, like a few hours or something like that, you're not going to lose much from the inactivity leak at all, really. And you're going to make that back as soon as you come back online anyway. So it's really not worth kind of worrying about that. But I'll link his thread in the YouTube description. You can check it out, and there are some replies to read through as well. All right, sticking with staking, so Obol Labs has announced today, or shared today, that they have been running the first distributed validator cluster on mainnet Ethereum since December 30th with a 98.6% efficiency rating. And they continue by saying, as this is the first phase of our road to mainnet, it's time to discuss our design philosophy and approach. And they have an accompanying blog post and Twitter thread here. Now, they seem to have kept this secret. I don't think they had revealed this publicly, so since they launched this, and it has been almost 2 months since they've done so, and according to their blog post, it's run quite successfully here, which is really, really awesome. And they actually link to the dashboard where they are kind of looking at the validator effectiveness and stuff here as well. So what does this mark? Well, they said this marks the first phase of Obol's journey to bringing distributed validators to mainnet Ethereum, and then they go through things like the design pillars, their adoption strategy, the V1 roadmap, and all that good stuff surrounding that as well there, which you can obviously read in the YouTube description below. So I wanted to focus on one thing here where they said in their adoption strategy that they believe rolling out DVT will be similar to how it was built. In the open, constructive, and highly collaborative. For DVT, adoption will take place in waves similar to the rollout of ETH2 for all of our Phase 0, Phase 1, Phase 1.5, and Phase 2 people. If you've been around long enough, you know that the original ETH2 roadmap was phased out like this. The phase terminology was actually phased out, but there was Phase 0, 1, 1.5, and 2. And if I remember correctly, Phase 0 was the beacon chain. Phase 1 was sharding, I think, or the first part of sharding. 1.5 was the merge, and 2 was I can't remember now. I'm screwing it up. I think 2 was a bunch of other things, but as I said, these all got phased out, and now basically we just have the Ethereum roadmap that Vitalik has shared a bunch of times. But that was a nice little throwback there from Obol. But yeah, you can go read this whole blog post for yourself. I'll of course link it in the YouTube description below for you to do so, but great to see that Obol has been running their technology live on mainnet, and it seems to have worked quite well, and we're privileged to get a nice, lengthy, juicy, detailed blog post here running through all of that, as well as a tweet thread, which you can check out. It'll be linked in the YouTube description below. All right, last up on staking here, we have an update from Swell. So the new and improved Swell is coming in April of 2023. There will be a reward-bearing LST. So it seems they're trying to change the terminology here from LSD to LST. And obviously LST stands for Liquid Staking Token instead of LSD, which stands for Liquid Staking Derivative. I understand why you would do this. Obviously LSD can be read as referred to the drug, and I guess like it's been memed as that. And it can have maybe negative connotations attached to it, because you can imagine an uninformed regulator looking at it and they're like, why are these people talking about LSDs? Like, is this drug money? And you know that's going to happen, right? You can see that happening. So I think that Swell is trying to change the narrative here, or change the terminology, I should say, and just say LST. I mean, either works. I think LSD is going to be sticky, though, because of that memeability. But if you see the term LST, it means liquid staking token. And then they continue by saying Swell is built for composability, fully fungible, with vetted node operators and integrations with top DeFi protocols. And you can read about this in the short little blog post here, if you would like, and of course you can join their Discord and follow their Twitter for future updates here. I'm super excited, guys. We're so close to withdrawals. There's going to be so many more staking things happening around that, not just Swell, but obviously DVT, the massive rocket pool upgrade coming as well, where you can basically spin up a mini pool with just 8 ETH instead of 16 ETH. A lot of these other staking services that are in stealth right now, or at least maybe not in total stealth, but are kind of under the radar, are going to be coming online. And we're going to see a pretty massive spike in ETH stake, I believe. I think it's going to lead to millions and millions of more ETH being staked. And it's kind of hard to know what the terminal kind of ETH staked will be, or where it'll slow down. It will depend on the yield, of course, but I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe 30 million ETH staked this time next year. Like, that wouldn't surprise me at all. It's pretty much almost double what we're at now. So we're going to have to see how that plays out. But yeah, I'm obviously super excited to watch that all unfold there. All right, moving on. So I spoke about kind of Ethereum testnets yesterday and about how there was a bit of drama around it. And Franzi here from the Ethereum Foundation, I believe, put out a tweet kind of clarifying something that I forgot to mention yesterday. So the two testnets right now that are live are Goerli and Sepolia, and they actually serve different purposes. So Goerli is only meant as a testnet for validating and staking, whereas Sepolia is meant as a testnet for applications. So because of this, I guess, probably confusion, or I guess because people don't know this, it's led to a lot of confusion. But honestly, I don't think this is a well-known fact, and it is on the ethereum.org developer section here, but I don't think this is a well-known fact even among a lot of the developers out there. So just wanted to give a reminder here that or a shout out here, that the two test nets are for different things. Goerli for validating and staking, whereas Sepolia is for applications. And also on top of that, I believe Goerli is actually scheduled to be decommissioned or deprecated by the end of the year, which means Sepolia will be the actually it's written here, and will be replaced by something called Holsivus, which I guess is another test net that's going to be spun up there, which should, I guess, solve a bunch of these issues around speculating on testnet ETH. And I guess like that's another massive risk there is of holding Go ETH or Goerli ETH, is that it's actually getting deprecated, so you're not going to even be able to sell it or use it or anything. But the funny thing is that what does that deprecation look like? Because the clients are out there, are people just going to keep running the Goerli testnet because of the fact that it's got value attached to it? And does it end up becoming its own little mainnet? I don't know, right? Or its own little new network. That would be kind of funny and bizarre, but I could see that potentially happening, depending on the value of Goerli ETH. It's a coordination issue though. Like, it would require people to get together and be like, okay, we're going to run these nodes, and we're going to have all these things on here, have these bridges, we're going to have exchanges, blah, blah, blah. So the coordination is the biggest issue there, rather than obviously forking the code. But yeah, just wanted to shout out there that Goerli is actually only a testnet for validating and staking, and will be deprecated this year in favor of another testnet. And Sepolia is the testnet for applications. And it's all explained on this ethereum.org page, which you can check out. I'll link it in the YouTube description below. All right, so Coinbase and Optimism are teasing something big. And not only them, but there's been a lot of things. I mean, I woke up to this today. There's a lot of different projects kind of tweeting out this blue circle and saying that there is going to be an announcement today, basically. And Bankless is actually doing a live stream about this at 9 a.m. Eastern time, which is maybe already, by the time you've watched the refuel, maybe the announcement is already out, because I think the refuel goes live about half an hour before this happens. So you may already know what this is. But I want to do something fun where I speculate what this is by connecting some dots and see if I'm right. So I think if Coinbase alone just tweeted out like this, it might have been harder to reach this conclusion. But Coinbase tweeted out this blue circle. Now, Optimism has their red circle as basically their official emoji, and they've been using it for quite a while now. So even if Optimism didn't tweet out anything, I still would have maybe drawn a conclusion here. Now, in saying that, Arbitrum uses the blue circle as well, right? So I would have first gone to Arbitrum and be like, okay, something's happening potentially with Arbitrum and Coinbase right now. But I think, Optimism tweeted out as well. So it's obviously got something to do with Optimism. And then my mind went to, okay, well, what could Coinbase be doing with Optimism? Well, they already support Optimism. They already support deposits and withdrawals. They already support the OP token. So what's the next logical thing that they could do? Well, Optimism has something called the OP stack that I've been talking about on the Refuel for a while now, which is basically a way for anyone to create their own L2. Now, does that make sense for Coinbase to do it? Like, is Coinbase going to create their own L2? What's it going to look like, right? Is Coinbase going to have a token attached to it, their own token? I highly doubt that, by the way. If from a regulatory standpoint, that wouldn't fly. So I doubt that's going to happen. Okay, so what does a Coinbase L2 actually look like? Well, I believe it would still use ETH as a fee token, especially because the OP stack is built with that in mind. So, I mean, obviously awesome. It would be a roll-up straight out of the box. Awesome. Is it going to be KYC'd? I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think people are really interested in KYC DeFi. It's not even DeFi if it's KYC'd, really. But that could happen, right? There could be parts of it that are, I don't know. And, what's the architecture going to look like? Who's going to be validating on the network? Is it going to be just Coinbase doing it? Is Coinbase going to be their only sequencer? Or are there a group of people doing this? You can speculate all you want. And as I said, like, most of you are probably watching this after the announcement's already public, but that's my conclusion that I came to, is that Coinbase seemingly is launching its own L2 using Optimism's technology, which is super exciting, obviously, for both Optimism and the Ethereum ecosystem, because obviously the L2 is going to be on Ethereum. And it's a huge vote of confidence, not only for L2s, but also for Ethereum as a settlement layer, because L2s, I mean, the very heart of an L2 is the fact that they settle their transactions on Ethereum. And I've said for a long time that I believe Ethereum is going to be the global settlement layer for everyone, right? For individuals, for companies, for corporates, for institutions, for governments. It's going to be that global settlement layer, that neutral, censorship resistant global settlement layer that everyone can kind of like settle onto. Now, Coinbase creating an L2, like a massive company like Coinbase, obviously one of the biggest in the space, creating an L2 is that massive vote of confidence for Ethereum, for Optimism, for L2s generally, and that would be super exciting to see. Now, of course, if I'm completely wrong here and completely off base, and if it's a nothing burger, just like how those two fists bumping together the other week, where the DeFi protocols were teasing it on Twitter, if it turns out to be a nothing burger, then just ignore everything I just said and we pretend that didn't happen. But I think I'm on the money here. I really do. Just because of the fact that, Optimism does one thing, right? I mean, they build L2 infrastructure, and Coinbase have been doing a lot of stuff with Ethereum lately. They've been working directly on EIP 4844, which is scaling layer 2s. They've been supporting layer 2s. They have someone who works there, Jesse Polak, who I've talked about a bunch on the Refuel before, just being very public about support of L2s. So it just makes logical sense for me there. And I hope I'm right here. I'm really, really eager to see what the details are. It's actually getting announced at 1 a.m. my time, so I'll be awake for this. It's always funny when I get up in the morning and I see the announcement, and I quote tweeted it, and I did like the looky eyes. And then people were saying, did you just get up? I'm like, yes, I just got up. Australia is a real place, guys. Like, we're bloody ahead of you by so much. And it kind of all happened. And then I went through my Twitter feed and I'm like, okay, this is exciting. And then I caught up and formulated my own thesis in my head here. But yeah, I'm super excited. I want to know, I don't really care if I'm right or wrong, but I just want to know what a Coinbase L2 would actually look like, right? Like, as I said, are they going to be the only ones running the sequencer? Are they going to be the only ones running the validator? Or is it going to be a group of people? I don't think they're going to have their own token, as I mentioned. That just doesn't really make much sense to me. Using ETH as the fee token is also a massive vote of confidence for ETH and ETH's value accrual. And I don't even know what's going to happen. Is OP going to pump? Is ETH going to pump? Who knows, right? I don't know what the market reaction is going to be to this, but regardless of any of that, Coinbase launching an L2 is going to be a massive deal, and other exchanges may follow, and other big companies may follow in this space. So watch this space, I guess, and we'll see what happens. If you're watching this before the announcement, well, I guess like you're probably one of the very few, and I'm sure we know what it is at this point. So yeah, hopefully I'm right on the money here, but as I said, you'll be able to watch this Bankless stream at 9 a.m. Eastern time, which you've probably watched already. But anyway, it's kind of hard for me to record these things and talk about something as if it's happened, even though it hasn't happened for me yet. It's still 3 hours away from when I'm recording this. It's 10 p.m. right now. So anyway, we'll see what that happens there. But as you can tell, I'm super excited. All right, so a pretty exciting announcement out of Uniswap today. So they announced that you can now buy NFTs with any single ERC20 token. So if you don't have enough ETH, it doesn't matter, ETH to cover the gas fees, obviously. You can use any ERC20 token in your wallet to complete your transaction without swapping to ETH first. So I should have clarified this. I don't know if this applies to gas fees or if it just applies to using ETH to buy an NFT and obviously having to use ETH to pay gas fees as well. But essentially what this is doing is it's abstracting this away and using the Uniswap backend or the Uniswap liquidity backend to essentially swap that ERC20 token, let's say it's USDC, for ETH in the background, so that the person that's selling the NFT still gets ETH, but you are paying in USDC. So it's just all abstracted away in the background. So they've explained it here. This is how it works. It efficiently routes your ERC20 token and swaps it for ETH and completes the transaction with swapped ETH. So they said currently only single input tokens are supported, but you can expect future releases will bring the capacity to bundle multiple ERC20 tokens into a single purchase. Now, obviously, this is a killer feature, right? This is a huge deal. This is something that I've talked about for a long time, about how ETH will always be used in the background on Ethereum, but we need to abstract that away from the user. We need to allow users to be able to pay for things in any token that they want. Now, in saying that, I feel like the only things that are really going to be used as money at scale are going to be on Ethereum, are going to be ETH and US dollar stablecoins, maybe potentially other fiat stablecoins, but definitely just fiat stablecoins and ETH are going to be by and far the most liquid tokens used as money on Ethereum. Maybe you might see some Bitcoin activity there, like Wrap Bitcoin, but it hasn't really taken off as people thought it would, and I feel like ETH is just an easier money to use, and it's just easier for accounting purposes as well. But obviously, stable coins are even better from that point of view because it's stable, right? So, but the thing that Uniswap has launched today means it doesn't really matter what you use. You can use it and you can use it to pay for whatever NFT you want. And it's interesting that they've done this with NFTs so quickly as well, because as I mentioned, I think a few weeks ago, Uniswap seems to be very interested in going all in on NFTs. They've obviously got a kind of competition for this, but they're kicking goals here with this, and I think that they're going to do a lot in the NFT space just out of brand awareness and marketing, but also these killer features that they are shipping here. But anyway, you can check out this announcement for yourself. It'll be linked in the YouTube description below. All right, so Synthetix V3 is now on mainnet. So you can see this announcement post here describing exactly what Synthetix V3 is, with a bunch of pretty graphics as well. You can see here this nice little graphic of what the V3 core looks like, and some examples and things like that. And the main features are also detailed in here. So that, as I say, Synthetix V3 has been successfully deployed on the Ethereum mainnet and Optimism after a thorough security audit from OpenZeppelin, IOCero, and Macro. Though this is certainly a big milestone for Synthetix, it should be considered a beginning and not a conclusion. We'll be progressively enabling functionality and rolling out upgrades from here, as Synthetix has too many real-world considerations that can't be anticipated in a laboratory setting. Yeah, this has been a long time coming. I remember when Synthetix V2 launched, and that was a big deal. And obviously, that they kind of migrated to Optimism and have been building on there for a while. Now with Synthetix V3, they've done a bunch of other massive upgrades in order to improve the Synthetix ecosystem here. And it's great to see this, because Synthetix is one of the older DeFi protocols that, as I've mentioned before, got stung by the high gas fees on Ethereum mainnet, then had to move to Optimism. It was basically the first app on Optimism, and have done a lot of great work within the Optimism ecosystem, and there's a lot of apps that have built off of them, such as Lyra and Quenta. And they've been getting good traction as well. I'm curious to see if Synthetix V3 is going to be deployed to any of the other L2s. I would say that it's a no-brainer for them to deploy it to Arbitrum. Obviously, Arbitrum has a big ecosystem as well, and it's somewhere where Lyra already exists, and they're using GMX right now on Arbitrum. But I guess if Synthetix launched on there, Lyra could use Synthetix as well. So I feel like they're going to launch on Arbitrum. Maybe they've already announced plans to do so. I haven't kept up too closely with that, but it feels like a no-brainer to me for them to do that. But for now, it is live on Ethereum mainnet and Optimism. Not fully functional yet in terms of features that they plan to deploy, but definitely something that you can go play around with. And all the relevant information is in the blog post, which will be linked in the YouTube description below. Alright, so Ingonyama has launched their Ingopedia V2, which is a community-driven and comprehensive collection of info related to zero-knowledge proofs. So yeah, I mean, I looked at this before and I was like, wow, okay, if you want to learn all there is to know about zero-knowledge proofs, and you have a lot of time, and you like reading, and you like, I guess, like podcasts and videos, well, then this is for you. I mean, they have links to everything, guys. It's crazy. Like, look at my screen right now. Okay, let me just go to one of the sections. I'll go to protocols. Look at all the links they have in protocols. Like, this is crazy. And then each one of them is going to take you a while to read. So maybe you are heading to Denver and you have a long flight ahead of you and you're a reader on a plane. I'm definitely not a reader. I can't read on planes for some reason. I think it's weird, but I don't generally read on planes. But if you are a reader, this is something to maybe read. I mean, obviously, if you're on a plane, you can't do this online, but you can download these pages, and I think there's a download button up here. Yeah, you can print this book, aka you can download it, save it as a PDF, and bring it with you if you're on a long flight, or maybe you just want to go through it on an iPad or something like that, or a Kindle, but feel free to do so there. Me personally, on my flight to Denver, which is 14 hours the first leg, and then I think 2.5 the second leg or something like that, I'm going to be playing video games. I have a Steam Deck and I have a Switch, and I'm going to be playing both of those. I've already loaded up the games I'm going to be playing. One of them I'm really looking forward to that comes out on the 25th of Feb is Octopath Traveler 2. It's a JRPG. I'm so happy it's coming out like 2 days before I fly out. I'm going to be doing that. But anyway, tangent there again. If you're not like me and you can read on a plane, then this is definitely something that is interesting to get your, I guess, hands on. And it is going to be technical. I mean, it's ZK stuff. Of course, it's going to be technical. But I wanted to highlight it because I feel like it's the perfect thing for people to check out if they want to. And of course, this will be linked in the YouTube description below for you to check out. And just a reminder as to why you should pay attention to this. Ingonyama, I should also disclose I'm an investor in them. They're building ASICs for zero knowledge proving, and they've been at it for quite a while. So if anyone is an expert on not only zero knowledge stuff, but curating resources that let you learn about all this stuff, it's Ingonyama. I mean, there probably is only a select few other teams that would be able to curate a resource like this. So yeah, you can trust that it is a lot of good information in there. All right. So last up here, we have this Twitter account, Maker Lee, who's shared a screenshot saying that sign in with Ethereum just got added to Shopify. And you can actually see this here in his screenshot that there's a connect wallet button here. If you're holding a certain NFT, you'll be able to get a discount if you connect your wallet. So let's say you're holding an NFT for this beanie. Let's just call it beanie NFT, and you connect your wallet. Well, you get an automatic 15% discount from holding that NFT. This is cool. Like you guys know my relationship with NFTs, but this sort of stuff is what I like because it's basically a way to NFT gate certain things and being able to do it and being able to get people more involved with your, I guess, e-commerce platform and get them coming back as well. Because you can do this and then you can send them another NFT on chain and say, hey, thanks for buying a beanie, or thanks for spending X amount of dollars. Here's a discount code as an NFT for the next time you purchase from our site. So instead of it obviously going to your email, instead of it being a code, it goes to your wallet, and you can have that portable with you as well, which I think is really, really cool. Can follow you, you can send it. Maybe you could even sell it, right? Like there could be a whole marketplace for discount codes. It depends if it's a soul-bound token or not, obviously. But if it isn't, there could be a market for discount codes, which I think is really, really cool. So and there is kind of a market for that already, but it's not really an efficient market. It's not really one that's very scalable or liquid. So having something like this would definitely make them a lot more scalable and liquid here. And you can go check this out. It's on Shopify's dev platform. It's called token gating, and they've got a whole kind of explanation of what this is and how people can actually integrate this into their own Shopify apps and site here. And for those of you who don't know who Shopify is or what Shopify is, it's an e-commerce platform, the biggest by far on the web. You have probably bought something from a Shopify hosted website. I mean, you have definitely bought something from a Shopify hosted website before. They're massive. Like it can't be understated how big of a deal this is. And obviously it just requires the store owners to integrate this, but I'm sure they will over time, and it's great to see Shopify supporting this here. But yeah, I think on that note, that's it for today's episode. So thank you everyone for listening and watching. Be sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe to the newsletter, join the Discord channel, and I'll catch you all tomorrow. Thanks everyone.